parents, teachers, ISL staff, distinguished guests, siblings, uncles, aunts, grandparents, extended family, and of course, our graduates. Whether you're watching this live or in person or via the live streaming, welcome to the ISL class of 2022 graduation ceremony. My name is Ian Fish and I'm the upper school principal and I'll be the MC this evening. Isn't it glorious to be able to do this with an audience again after a 2-year hiatus under COVID restrictions? And even better to be able to have our superb concert and symphonic band playing for us again too. Wasn't that a great opening? Now, before we start properly, I'm afraid I have to do the GDPR thing, so bear with me for just a moment. By participating in this event, you acknowledge that photographs and videos will be taken by the International School of Luxembourg and that these may be placed on our website, social media channels, online photo album, and in printed materials for an educational, communication, or other purpose. Please note that images will be processed in accordance with our privacy notice, which is published on our website. You're entitled at any time to request the deletion of images where you appear by emailing the details to the ISL Data Protection Officer. The taking of photographs and videos by members of the audience during the event is permitted for personal use only. Such images must not be shared publicly via any means, including social media, unless permission has been obtained from all those people in the images and, in the case of students under the age of 18, from their parents on their behalf. Please note that failure to comply with this requirement may render you personally liable under applicable data protection legislation. Sounds scary. Back to the programme. My first honour is to welcome our director, DJ Condon, to the stage to make the opening remarks. This is certainly not DJ's first graduation, and I know he has had the honour of speaking at many of these before. But it is his first for ISL and in Europe. Over to you, Dr. Condon.
Well, good evening, and welcome to this auspicious occasion. We're gathered here today to watch the class of 2022 walk across this stage, away from their high school years and into their futures. There is a remarkable beauty in this transition, the culmination of many years of growth. We've watched these young people grow into committed academics, artists, performers, athletes, activists, humanitarians, in short, all around good people prepared to do good work in this world. Personally, I feel fortunate and grateful to have the opportunity to participate in this transition. Thank you, class of 2022. I would also like to thank the families of these vibrant young people. Parents, thank you for entrusting your children into our care and guidance, for furnishing us with such fine young people. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, siblings, thank you for your attendance here this evening, for witnessing this wonderful transition and supporting our community. I'd also like to thank Upper School Principal Ian Fish and his team, and all those who work to make this ceremony the grand event that it is. Mr. Fish will be thanking these colleagues by name later in the program. And finally, faculty and staff colleagues, thank you for the passion, intelligence, and commitment that you have devoted to your practice and these students. Our profession is a noble endeavor. Know that your fine work is deeply valued and appreciated by all. I would also like to thank and recognize the members of our esteemed Board of Trustees, beginning with our board chair, Mrs. Marit Davey. Mrs. Davey and I have worked closely together this past year, and I would like to express my appreciation for her support of our school and for me personally. I'd also like to recognize our other board members from this past year, Rosa Villalobos, Brian Blanchard, Caroline King, Pedro Castillo, Michael Riedel, Catherine Kaiser, Lena Hoffman, David Arendt, Maria Pavlicek, Erica Monfordini, and Valerie Arnold. On behalf of the entire community, I thank each of you for your tireless service to ISL. Now, class of 2022, I realize that you are eager to get on with the ceremony so that you may receive your diplomas and get on with your futures. And I'm sure, like the other 165,000 diploma candidates in some 150 countries around the world, you've had enough of IB. But I ask for your indulgence for just a couple more minutes so we may all take a moment to consider the import and the impact of your IB education. Let's begin at the most fundamental level, its purpose. The IB mission statement describes IB students as inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. The IB Learner Profile describes IB students in a similar fashion, internationally minded people who, recognizing their common humanity and shared guardianship of the planet, help to create a better and more peaceful world. No doubt you will have noticed the repetition of the phrase, help to create a better and more peaceful world. The repetition serves to underscore the importance of this aim. Your IB education was not intended to simply to get you into a good college, though of course that's important, and for which I congratulate you. But your IB education has been more ambitious than that. It is indeed intended to change the world. You are intended to change the world. Now, just exactly how are you supposed to do that? Again, the IB foundational documents provide guidance through intercultural understanding and respect, according to the IB mission statement, by recognizing our common humanity and shared guardianship of the planet, according to the learner profile. Often when we think about intercultural understanding, we think very broadly, as in Luxembourg or Chinese cultures. But culture can also be interpreted more narrowly, such as the ISL culture, or the millennial generation, or even the refugee family that now lives across the street. Regardless of how the particular culture is defined, in order to understand people from different cultural backgrounds, we need to engage with them. Sadly, as our world becomes increasingly polarized, it seems many people are more content to label people than to engage in dialogue with them and their ideas. We see this trend reflected in the increasing number of disinvited speakers and forced cancellations of speeches on college campuses. Colleges where free speech has been compromised in recent years include such well-known institutions in the US as Stanford, Harvard, and Princeton. And lest anyone think these disinvitations primarily come from one end of the political spectrum, know that this is a bipartisan issue, as attempts to shut down speakers have come from both the right and the left. Shockingly, according to columnist Brett Stevens, a narrow majority of college students, 51%, think it is acceptable for a student group to shut down a speaker with whom they disagree. An astonishing 20% also agree that it's acceptable to use violence to prevent a speaker from speaking. Class of 2022, may I plead with you now to please not be part of any attempts during your college years to shut down dialogue and free speech. It can be challenging, of course, to hear some of the things people have to say, and no doubt we are right to regulate speech to some degree. For example, one cannot yell fire in a crowded movie theater if there's no threat of actual fire. But speech that we simply don't like, even that which we find repugnant, should not be silenced if it does not pose such a clear and imminent threat of harm. Certainly, it should not be silenced simply because we don't like the person espousing the views. Similarly, not all cultural differences need to be embraced. Indeed, some differences simply cannot be tolerated. The killing of innocent civilians, for example, will never be acceptable, and in my opinion, any culture that promotes it should be actively opposed. But we have to be careful not to overgeneralize, not to lump together everyone who comes from a certain part of the world or shares a certain religion, political or sexual orientation, or socioeconomic standing. It can be very difficult to balance out one's personal and cultural perspectives with other cultures. Cultural anthropologist Richard Schrader maintains that, quote, "The world is incomplete if seen from any one point of view, incoherent if seen from all points of view at once, and empty if seen from nowhere in particular." Our challenge then is to understand how our own local perspective fits in with those of others, what we have in common, where we differ. At the heart of this challenge lies our relationship with the other, i.e., our approach to diversity and difference. Are these elements we truly appreciate and celebrate, or are we merely trying to win over or convert the other to our own perspective? The danger of perpetuating cultural intolerance is great and cruelly ironic when one considers that such a fundamentalist attitude permeates the thinking of the terrorist. One is reminded of Arthur Schlesinger's observation that those who are convinced they have a monopoly on the truth always feel they are only saving the world when they slaughter the heretics. The antidote, of course, is to embrace the other, to seek it out, and to engage in dialogue for the mutual benefit of clarity and understanding. Fortunately, and I believe I speak for the vast majority of the people in this room, you soon-to-be graduates have given us adults ample reason for optimism and confidence in the future. You are our hope, our inspiration, and I wish you all the best. Class of 2022, congratulations and good luck.
Oh, there we go. Thank you for those inspiring words, Dr. Condon. Your emphasis on making a change for good, peace, and the incredible responsibility that accompanies freedom of speech is so very timely right now. I'll be picking up on these points later on. Thank you. Next, we have a video of our graduating class, which will no doubt bring some smiles and very likely some tears. Enjoy. So did you guys rehearse that, the oohs and the ahs? It's a good effort. Really enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Weren't they cute? What happened? Now we have the pleasure of moving on to the first of our two musical pieces this evening, performed by members of our graduating class. So we have Christopher Rosenqvist, Miriam Rosas, Nikolai Volotovsky and Robin Goyo will be performing Take 5 by Paul Desmond. These students have regularly performed for us in assemblies and at recitals and things at school, so it's wonderful to have this final chance to hear them this evening. So just bear with us a moment while we get everyone ready. I think all the performers ready? Yeah? Okay. Just give us a moment. Thank you so much. Superb as always. We're really going to miss their musical gifts. And I certainly hope they don't stop playing. Music's a really important piece and will always be a light in their lives, I'm sure. Let's give them another round of applause, please. Now it's with great pleasure that I'd like to call upon Elle Spencer, our faculty elected speaker, to address the graduating class. It's a great honour to be chosen by your teachers to do this, and I know that all of them watching here today have been especially looking forward to it. Elle is... where is Elle? There she is. Elle is through and through ISL, having been with us for her whole school career. Throughout her time with us, she has always been a contributor and a highly engaged member of our community. Be it the sports, the arts, or even TEDx, Elle has always been involved. Elle Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Fish, for that introduction. Good evening, family, friends, faculty, and fellow graduates. It is my honour to stand in front of all of you today and congratulate my fellow classmates. As you now know, my name is Elle Spencer, and I've been here at ISL since kindergarten. During my time at ISL, I've seen many people, both students and teachers, come and go. Some leave, never to return, and some make their way back to us. In this graduating class of 103, there are 19 of us who have been here since the beginning. I feel privileged to be graduating with all 103 students, and I am proud of our achievement today. When we first started high school, we all had one common goal in mind, and that was to make our mark. Whether that was through achieving certain grades, excelling at sports, or in our commitment to extracurricular activities. We wanted to leave knowing that we made an impact. Although united in our shared ISL experience, each one of us has chosen a different career path. We are your class of 2022, not just because we managed to scoot our way through each year, but because we put in the hard work and the effort to get to where we are today. This we could not have done without the friends, family, and teachers encouraging and supporting us along the way. We have all accomplished one of the major milestones of our lives, high school, an accomplishment which should be recognized for its immense significance. I am proud to be standing here today together with my fellow classmates because we all deserve to be here and acknowledged for making it to this moment. High school is tough. It throws obstacles at you from every possible corner for our teachers, but our teachers have our backs from day one. The first time you introduce yourself to your teachers, you know they're on your side. They want you to succeed and will always catch you when you falter and help you back on your feet. They celebrate our wins and support us through our losses. This journey has been long and short. Long because of the seemingly infinite amount of homework and projects to do, which just came tumbling one after another. Short because of the lifelong friendships, the lasting memories, and the truly interesting and amazing things we learned in between all the tests and exams. The first time we walked into the cafeteria, we were all terrified of being the smallest and the youngest people in the room. Look how the tables have turned. We are the giants now, and we get to show everyone how it works. Although we did not have many opportunities to do so because of the dreaded COVID. COVID changed the way we could attend and engage with school. It came with challenges and interruptions, all of which have made us stronger and more resilient. Those of us who have been here in 6th grade remember Miss Hindle taking us to the London trip for a week, we got to see A Midsummer Night's Dream at the Globe Theatre. We bonded with each other in ways that we could not have been possible in school. We shared an experience that gave us something to talk about beyond our regular friendship groups. I do not know if we ever thanked you properly, so thank you to Miss Hindle for organising that trip. You helped us become more connected to one another. To everyone who joined Merit Jeunesse and came together through the hard times as you pursued your bronze, silver and gold award, to the people who stayed on to do gold, I congratulate all of you. Hiking for 20 kilometers every day with a backpack that holds everything you need for 5 days is not easy. We hiked in 30-degree weather and then set up camp and slept in temperatures that fell to the low 10s, one extreme to another. But what amazing memories. We became a group of people who supported each other while testing our limits. To all the athletes we had over the years who broke records and brought home trophies, often traveling for hours by bus to different competitions against other schools. One of our awards was being able to choose the music played on the bus ride home. All the tournaments we won and lost, the experience we had on those trips, and memories which will last forever. The thing I treasure, and as I am sure many of you do, are the conversations we had in those moments. And let's not forget every performance in music, theatre, and art that we also put time and effort towards. None of this could have been done if it wasn't for all the adults who work at ISL. Thank you to the core teachers, our teachers and learning support, to our coaches, our counsellors, the nurses, and our advisors. To each and every person who has guided us from the first moment we stepped into this school. Graduating is not an everyday occurrence. It is a milestone. Being here at this ceremony today, we have shown our commitment to personal growth. We have sat through our final exams, and we are ready to start to reach for the stars, knowing that if we can get here, well, we can get there. Life is a journey, and we don't stop growing once we get these diplomas. Some of us will continue that journey at university, and some of us will go to the military, while others will be exploring internships and gap years. This graduation has already shown us how capable we are at accomplishing our goals when we commit ourselves to them. I hope all of us here today are proud of ourselves. As we continue on in our lives, let us take each new challenge with confidence, knowing that we have achieved great heights and are equipped with the necessary tools to tackle our futures. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Elle. I love the way you emphasised the collaborative and supportive nature of your time at ISL. I wish you the very best as you move on to the next chapter of your life. Now, assuming that he has recovered from his recent musical performance, I'd like to invite Christopher Rosenqvist to address the graduating class. Where is he? Christopher. So Christopher is our student-elected speaker. He's another student who's been with us for a very long time, and just yesterday I learned this interesting fact from his mother. At the tender age of 7, Christopher taught himself to fly an aeroplane on a flight simulator designed for adults. At that time, he couldn't even reach the flight pedals of the cockpit, but he learned how to fly a large commercial aeroplane. One of these flight videos from back then is posted on YouTube and has more than 50,000 views. Who knew? When Christopher leaves, he plans to move on to Copenhagen to study architecture at the Royal Academy of Art. Christopher.
Good evening, everyone. Just let me get set up here. Right. So, before I begin my speech, I would like to warn anybody who gets the urge to come up here and Will Smith me in the face that myself and the rest of the class of 22, we had verbal self-defense classes with Mr. Gervais in 7th grade. So, watch out. Right. First of all, I would like to thank the class of 2022 for electing me as the student speaker here tonight. It is a huge honor, and I promise you that you will all regret it. Class of 2022, we have so many shared experiences and memories, I don't know where to start. Those of us who have been here since the beginning will recall going places like the Amityville Zoo, or Switzerland on the 5th grade trip, or that donkey riding place where our K2 teachers assured us that 5-legged donkeys were a real thing. We recall performing Broadway-worthy acts like Goldilocks and the Three Bears and Panto Pandemonium, where Eugenio, as the bad witch, strutted around in high heels like the true runway model he is. And those who have joined the ISL class of 2022 throughout middle and upper school will recall the many end-of-year trips and nieces trips, as well as the many awkward school dances, where the latest nene, dab, or stanky leg could be shown off in a blur of sweat, Axe deodorant, and Coca-Cola. And thanks to the many events that the Student Advisory Leadership Team have organized throughout our senior years, those of us who have joined the ISL class of 2022 within the last couple of years will be able to recall fond memories such as the senior sunrises or the advisory dodgeball tournament where Mr. Demo's advisory we showed everyone who the bosses were. My personal favorite is when we all reluctantly did the Jerusalem dance together. Some teachers found some already 2-year-old trend on Twitter and thought, wow, now that is young and hip. At least now, as seniors, we get to decide for ourselves which cringeworthy dances to do. For example, Sam O'Neill really loves doing the worm. The ISL class of 2022 is one of many personalities. Each and every one of us has brought valuable qualities to the table. Layla has brought artistic flair. Sam Nati has brought style. TJ, Piper, and Lara have brought kindness. Lorenzo has brought strength in the gym. Miriam and Emily have brought humor. Emily seriously knows how to make an entrance. I don't think I'll ever forget her entrance to senior prank day, dressed in full scuba diving gear and with one of these on her bike. Alvaro has brought Spanish swear words to every single class. Sometimes I would just be walking past Ms. Hitchman's class and hear aloud, "Mierda! Joder!" Tom has brought commitment. Trust me, rain or snow, that man will be in shorts. And that takes commitment. I could go on, but let me put it this way. Together, we are one pretty unstoppable grade. The ISL class of 2022 is one of many strengths and few weaknesses. For us, it has really always been about drive and about power. We tend to stay hungry and devour. And when I say many strengths, I really mean it. Among us, there are mathematicians, scientists, and artists who will go out and change the world. Among us, There are also those who have mastered important skills such as setting your alarm to 30 seconds before the virtual Schoology lesson begins, and hoping that your teacher doesn't ask you to turn the camera on. There are also those who know how to do that weird beer-chugging vortex thing, which lets you down a beer in 3 seconds. If you don't know what I'm talking about, ask Kevin and Luca. They'll be happy to explain. These strengths will carry us out into the world, into our careers, and into our universities or gap years. This grade's academic achievements are seriously impressive. We have students going off to study at Oxford, Cambridge, Stanford, Duke, Harvard, Sciences Po, and Trinity College Dublin, among others. I mean, come on, you have to admit, that's pretty cool. But I do want to mention how for every high achiever in our grade, it seems that there are 10 business and finance students. Seriously, there are so many of us going into those fields. And I have to ask the class of 2022, are we really not more ambitious than that? The world has enough cryptocurrency scammers. Which reminds me, have you heard of ISL Coin? It's the next up-and-coming crypto. Invest all your life savings in it. What's the worst that can happen? But hey, come on, business studies. Whatever happened to saving the whales? Slam dunking those epic stock market 420 wins with your bros isn't the way to solving the climate crisis. Did CAS really not teach us anything? Of course, I'm joking. Business studies are totally cool, and I'm sure that our prospective business students will be the best out there. Other career aims include biochemistry, medicine, fashion design, and zoology. The range of this grade never ceases to amaze me. At times, my bad. Also, shout out to Arvidas, who, according to Miss Burns, will be the first student at ISL to go into dentistry for over 10 years. These achievements have also been made possible due to the efforts of our teachers, who deserve a special thank you. As a grade, I think we've really forged some strong relationships with our teachers. At times, the line between teacher and student has even become difficult to distinguish. I'm of course talking about how Sky one day just walked by and looked exactly like Mr. Smith. Which is a great compliment. Have you seen Mr. Smith? Great compliment. I think many of us will also remember when we met all the teachers on that night out. You've got to give credit where credit's due. Mr. Burridge. Mr. Burridge, it takes courage to take so many selfies with drunken students. Personally, my favorite teacher-student relationship is the one between Hugo P. and Mr. Betts. I swear they would have the goofiest interactions. Hugo would bring KFC to class and share fried chicken. And in return, Mr. Betts would somehow manage to include Hugo in every single probability question he gave us. Our teachers have helped us immensely throughout all of the subjects we took. In our physics classes, Mr. Fair and Mr. Uren worked hard to ensure that all physics students think that they are better than biology students. And spoilers, they are. But of course, I am very biased as a physics student myself. In our biology classes, students memorized the longest possible names for the smallest possible things, and also ensured that the whole upper school building stank of cow liver every once in a while. So thank you for that, biology students. I have so much respect for our chemistry students, because that stuff just does not make sense. And in sports science, I'm not quite sure what you did. But I've heard that that class does not get enough credit for how difficult it is. So at least you've got that going for you. In our TOK classes, we learned that up is down and that left is right until proven otherwise. Seriously, TOK class is the first time I've ever tried thinking so hard that my brain hurts. I want to extend a thank you to our TOK teachers for always being there to ask us, but how? When we thought we had just given the most convincing argument known to humankind. In geography, we learned that the world is in deep, but disaster can be averted if we act now. I must say a huge thank you to Mr. Hunkin for making our geography classes so engaging and interesting. Seriously, that man made us all so excited about coastal erosional processes and sand dune formation. How is that even possible? I would also like to thank Ms. Schweifler on behalf of her class for teaching them how to understand the world in double speed. In our language B classes, our experiences differed a lot based on whether we were at higher level or standard level. At higher level, we read novels and learned how to conjugate verbs into difficult subjunctifs. Thank you very much, Madame Lelarge, for that. And at standard level, students still struggle to order an ice cream in French or German. In our language A classes, such as English, we read novels and learned how to analyze anything from a cartoon to a dated advertisement from the 1950s. I really appreciate the efforts of our English teachers in teaching us a bunch of terms known as stylistic features, which let us feel really smart when we use them in our essays. Attentive listeners will have observed that I have been employing synthetic personalization and rhetorical questions to achieve my purpose. That purpose is not failing miserably at the speech. And finally, in the arts, our teachers have taught us to think creatively. A big thank you to Ms. Lorton, who helped us guide our incoherent thoughts and stress into coursework and final pieces that were sent off to the IB. Now, to finish off these kinds of speeches, the typical thing to do is to include a bit of wisdom. But since I don't have much wisdom myself, I've decided to rely on the infinite wisdom of Charles M. Schulz, the creator of the cartoon Peanuts, the one with Snoopy. Quote, "Learn from yesterday, live for today, look to tomorrow, and rest this afternoon." Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Christopher. You clearly know your class perhaps a little too well. Guys, he's heading that way. He's running away now. Next up, we have our second musical performance, Just the Two of Us, by Bill Withers, William Salter, and Ralph McDonald. This will be performed by Harry Ford, Arvidas Anderson, Laura Henkers, Maxime Boutelot, Philippe Scheidler, and Tom Heinz.
I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through to make those rainbows in my mind. When I think of you sometime, and I want to spend some time with you, just the two of us. is. Wasted water's all that is, and it'll make no flowers grow. Good things might come to those who wait, not for those who wait too late. We gotta go for all we know. With the two of us, we can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us, building castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you and I see the crystal raindrops fall on the window down the hall. It becomes the morning dew. And darling, when the morning comes and I see the morning sun, I wanna be the one with you. Just the two of us, we can make it if we try. Just the two of us, just the two of us, building castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you and I. Just the two of us, we can make it if we try. Just the two of us, just the two of us, building castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you and I.
Love that. That was great. Definitely a bit of a jazz theme this year. Let's give them another round of applause, please. So, now comes the moment we've all been waiting for, the presentation of the diplomas and awards. Could I ask Dr. Condon and the chair of the board, Miss Marit Davey, to come and present the diplomas. As always, we'll be recognising those students who've been with us since kindergarten, so listen out for these. This year, as you've heard already, we have an impressive 19 graduates who fit this profile. It's reassuring that they've all turned out so well. Candidates, we practiced this yesterday, so just remember, as you come forward, round the side, round the cross at the end, in front of Dr. Condon, in front of the chair of the board. Remember to smile at the camera, photographer down here, okay? And everybody else, remember when the name is, you have to move along one, right? Remember that? Got it, excellent. We did practice yesterday, it's gonna go great. Are you ready, Mr. Okochi? So Mr. Okochi was responsible for organising the diplomas. Let's hope he remembered. As you can see, Mr. Okochi couldn't pull those out himself. He had to get some help. So, we're good to go? First up, Arvidas Anderson. Just notice it is slightly confusing because we have two photographers here, so maybe look at them both, if you can. Mael Antonopoulos. I should have mentioned that both Arvidas and Mael received the K-12 award as well. Oscar Bachelet.
In the photo.
Colin Baker. Alexandra Bent. Emily Barbaron. Leela Baring.
Congratulations.
Nell Barton.
Congratulations.
Al Baibez.
Congratulations.
Sky Beck.
Congratulations, Scott. In the photo. Good luck.
Jazur Bekmirzaev.
Congratulations. In the photo.
Atala Bernard. Elena Bistagnino. Maxime Boutelot. Maxime also received our K-12 award. Luca Brunacci. Charlie Chidiak.
Congratulations. Straight over here.
George Chidiak.
Congratulations.
Ashley Yena Cho. Andrea Conti. Giulia Conti. Lorenzo Conagliotti. Lucas Corominas Mackenzie. Daphne Joshkin. Ilona Dos. Catherine Del Rio. Catherine also receives a K-12 award. Felix Fisher. Harry Ford. Isha Goenka. Isha also receives a K-12 award. Robin Goyo. Robin also receives a K-12 award. Itai Golagon. Luisa Gomiero. Caroline Gunter. Lucas Gulick. Ilka Gunai. Eloise Hager Hedloy.
Good luck.
Kevin Heinz. Tom Heinz. Laura Henkes.
Beautiful song.
They still got in there. Vivian Hens. Always wearing running shoes. Alvaro Hermida. Yibei Kang.
Best Connie.
Elise Cooper. Charlotte Kramer.
Congratulations. And the photo.
We did practice yesterday. We did. Eugenio Lainati. I think I know what that might have been about, but I'm not going to mention it here. Theo Laurenson.
Congratulations.
Theo also receives our K-12 award. Aurélie Levesque.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Hugo Lindmark Mello. Hugo also receives our K-12 award. Ji Chao Luo.
Congratulations. And the photo.
CJ Ma.
Congratulations.
Simone Pietro Martini.
Congratulations. And the photo.
Simone also receives a K-12 award. Malia Matur.
Congratulations. And the photos over here. Good luck.
Luca Musiolik. Max Mikkonen. Max has definitely practiced that swagger we talked about earlier, right? You know. Rio Nagai. Sam Natty. Sasha Neuhengen. Giacomo Nievo. Lara O'Donnell. Samuel O'Neill. Samuel also receives a K-12 award. Sophie Parsons. Glenn Parch. Diego Pitti. Hugo Pieszczok. Alessandro Pileri. Torley for TJ Pryor. Clearly, TJ is not planning on going into the world of fashion, but there we go. Raphael Reckingham. David Reuter. Christopher Rosenkvist. And Christopher also receives a K-12 award. Miriam Rosas. Leon Ruggiero. Amandine Samad. Alberto Satur. Edouard Soswa. Philippe Scheidler. Sophie Schlesser. Kevin Schuler. Sophia Skibona, my apologies. Sophia Skibona. Filippo Senes. Lucrezia Senes. Ilinka Serban. Stefano Serra. David Scretcher. Carlene Smith. And Carly also receives a K-12 award. Jun Young Song. L. Spencer. And Elle also receives a K-12 award. Jonathan Stark. And Jonathan also receives a K-12 award. Daniel Stranieri. Xiaoyu Sun. Olga Chikina. Now, Olga, if I could just ask you to wait there for a moment, because Olga also receives our ECIS award. And this award is for a student who is a good representative of their own country, with a positive attitude towards the life and culture of others, able to communicate in at least 2 languages, a contributing force in the life of the school, with the ability to bring different people together in a sense of community, thus fostering the cause of international understanding. This award is voted for by the faculty. Congratulations. Ella Tam. Meta Tuai. Maxime Vandermesh. Floris Van Riet. Paul van der Stickelen. William Verinder. Alessandro Vigo. Nikolai Volotovsky. Nikolai also receives a K-12 award. Shibo Wang. Keris Williams. Harriet Wilson Pinchin. Piper Yarborough. Elvis Yoshitomi. And finally, Alessandro Zavi. Thank you, Dr. Condon. Thank you, Norette. Please take your seats. Well done, graduates. We're nearly there. Just time for a few closing remarks. It's finally over. No more stressing about getting to school on time. No more Schoology notices, managed back calendars, IAs, EEs, CAS, ATLs, TOK, LPs, HLs, SLs. Is that it? I was thinking to myself at the end of last week when all of you had finished your exams and were in school handing back your textbooks or just saying hi. What a wonderful feeling it must have been. The mountain is behind you with a sense of lightness within. Enjoy the moment. A few weeks ago, weeks that probably seem like years ago now, as it was pre-final exams, I had the opportunity to speak to you in the slightly less glamorous setting of the upper school auditorium. I had to follow Mr. Hunkin, which was no easy task. We will miss him. I said to you then that I'd really enjoyed getting to know you these last few years, and I meant it. As we have seen and heard again today, you're an amazing group of young people who have consistently set high standards for yourselves and your peers. You have been contributors to the sports, the arts, the sciences, and social causes. You've shown incredible resilience throughout the last 2 years of COVID, which could so easily have derailed your studies. Individually and collectively, you have achieved wonderful successes, and I firmly believe that you have made ISL a better place. I'd like to spend a few moments now focusing on two particular characteristics which I feel have been the defining features of your grade, as I think it's these which give me the greatest sense of optimism and pride. As a group, you have been overwhelmingly kind, and you have sought to make changes for the good, not only for the class of 2022, but for the whole school. The world is not an easy place to be a young person right now. Indeed, I often think that being a young person today is harder than it has ever been, and certainly more challenging than when I was growing up. Expectations to be successful, whatever that means to you, to be special and fit in, to be courageous but also responsible, to wear the right clothes and be unique, to get good grades, care for the planet, be a good role model, participate in clubs and activities and so on, and all of this against the backdrop of a world filled with problems and bad news. Climate change, a resurgent far-right movement, democracy under threat, misinformation and a post-truth world, future pandemics, ecological upheaval, and growing social inequities are all reported daily through our news feeds. And let's not forget that we are currently facing a war in Ukraine that has left the UN seemingly paralysed. It does not paint a pretty picture. None of these problems were created by you, but this is the world that you're growing into, and the world is hoping that you are going to fix it. And while I believe this is a highly unreasonable and unfair expectation, I also think that you might just be able to. I said earlier that as a grade level, you are kind. This is important. To me, kindness is a severely underrated virtue, and I've come to believe that it's actually one of the most powerful. As you grow older, one of the unanticipated things that changes about you is what you admire in others. I clearly remember being a middle school student and having great admiration for those with talent. My heroes were in sports and music, and the peers that I admired, or perhaps was a little envious of, were typically described by their teachers as talented. Later, I began to admire those that the world described as clever or smart, people with amazing ideas or an acute ability to understand and analyse what is really going on around us, the Danny Dorlings or Noam Chomskys of this world. For a while, I even felt these were the people who could come up with the big solutions if only the rest of the world would just listen to them. Now that I'm well beyond my salad days and my admiration is less green, I find that while I do, of course, still admire those talented and intellectual powerhouses, my most fervent admiration is really reserved for those around who consistently and purposefully demonstrate the simple attribute of kindness. Dear graduates, I admire you. Being kind can be hard, but it can also be disarming because it promotes reflection and dialogue. I believe this is one of the reasons that you have been such a cohesive and influential group of students. It's the reason that I think you've so successfully navigated high school and the IB diploma under almost constant COVID restrictions, because you've been kind. When the COVID restrictions felt like they were sucking all the joy out of school, you didn't blame anyone. You recognised that this was just the way it was. It wasn't your teacher's fault that they caught COVID and couldn't teach you, or that your friend caught COVID, so you had to be isolated and work virtually. It would have been easy to have been resentful and feel that this was oh so terribly unfair to you. Why has this happened at such a crucial moment in my career? But you didn't. You showed compassion to each other. You gently and purposefully got on with the task at hand and offered support, a listening ear, and a word of kindness to those affected. And I believe that in this way, you sowed the seeds of kindness and positivity that have since grown and grown. Amelia Earhart, famed for her role as a pioneer aviator back in the early 20th century, but perhaps more significantly for defying gender roles, once said that a single act of kindness throws out roots in all directions, and the roots spring up and make new trees. This is what you have done on multiple occasions. I see it in our grades 10 and 11. Your role modelling has encouraged students in these grades to take on social causes. Kindness as a goal, as an aspiration. Thank you for inspiring them. In a world that sometimes appears angry and resentful, kindness to others, to the environment, and to yourselves is a much-needed commodity. If you can continue to spread this, the world will be a better place. Which brings me to my second point. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the state of the world. Earlier, I listed all sorts of seemingly unsurmountable and complex problems. How can you make a difference? In the 4 years that I've known you, I've repeatedly seen that you can. Okay, you haven't quite managed world peace yet, but you have contributed to making your direct environment and community stronger and more effective. Each time you do this, it has a knock-on effect, a multiplier effect. Economists and geographers take note, where the impact grows and grows. I can think of countless times that you have brought ideas and suggestions to the table, or addressed difficult situations with patience and empathy, but also with purpose. Whether it be about the school's approach to virtual learning, supporting the climate strikes, or pioneering new school activities and clubs, you have done this. Not for cash, not for service, but because it needed doing. Throughout history, we have seen again and again that, as Margaret Mead, a social anthropologist who is not afraid to explore and talk about taboo topics, and who remains a model and a teacher for all those willing to learn and challenge the status quo states, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. Just hold that thought for a moment. Greta Thunberg, and a very small group of followers initially have done more to raise expectations for governments to respond to climate change than just about anybody else. Patrice Collers, Alicia Garza and Opal Tometi built the Black Lives Matter movement back in 2013, a movement that today is changing the way we think about race, diversity and equity. I have no doubt that members of this grade have the capacity and drive to make such contributions. ISL has given you strong foundations to build on, a foundation built on strong values, enriched by the knowledge and respect for other cultures and religions. At ISL, you've been engaged with a truly multicultural community. You have been challenged to question your beliefs and to recognise and respect the perspectives of others. You know that no culture is superior to any other, and there is no such thing as one universal truth or one right path. The point I'm trying to make here is a simple one, that with these two things, a bias for kindness and a predisposition for action, you can and will contribute to a better and more peaceful world. Your education has given you the skills and knowledge to understand the challenges ahead and creatively seek solutions to address them. You have shown that as individuals and as a grade that you desire change, that you want to lead the charge, and you want to do it with compassion. That makes me pretty proud and rather optimistic that today we are sending out into the world a group of kind, intelligent young people who are committed to making a difference. Mission accomplished. Do you remember the cue? So, dear students, you made it, and it's nearly time to celebrate. Graduates, please stand. Tassels on the left. Now, hang on. Is it the left? It's the right. It's the right. It's the right. Tassels on the right. I'm sorry. We always get this mixed up. Ladies and gentlemen, parents, family and friends, I present to you the graduating class of 2022. Congratulations to each and all of you on this fine achievement. You may sit down. Hopefully they put their names in their caps. Okay, just before we finish, as promised, I would like to do a few thank yous. First of all, Dr. Condon and Miss Davey for their warmth, smiles and positivity today. Thanks very much. To our maintenance team and the community relations team who have worked tirelessly on our behalf to bring this event together. To Mr. Okochi for his table wheeling skills, and to Mr. Keach for their moral support and coordination. Thank you. To Mr. Sinclair for keeping the IB on track. Bob, just a couple of students earlier came to me to say they've lost their login to get their grades later, so they're going to look out for you later. To Miss Lee for her unwavering positivity and support for me. Thank you, Miss Lee. To Gina Boris for all the behind-the-scenes organisation leading up to today. Thank you, Gina. To Mr. Steve Zimes for all his support in coordinating photographers, filming, live streaming, logistics, flowers, and much more. To Vincent for the catering coordination and the food you'll receive later. A very special thank you to Mr. Libby for stepping in at the last minute to conduct the band. Also to Mr. Inav and Miss Humphreys for leading and supporting the band in the preparations. And of course to the band themselves who are performing again in just a moment. To our senior committee of parents who have helped make this year such a memorable one for our graduates. Thank you. And finally, our hosts who have been so wonderfully accommodating again, the backstage team, front of house and general management of the Grand Theatre. Okay, in just a moment, we're going to let the graduates go. Graduates, upstairs, if you head out the way you came in, as we practiced yesterday, and then upstairs you will also find some gifts which are put together by the senior committee as well, so look out for those. If I could just ask everybody else to remain seated until the graduating class have left the auditorium. Just sit back and enjoy our wonderful band, directed by Mr. Libby, as they perform an old favourite, The Pink Panther by Henry Mancini. Thank you very much. Great job. No worries. Thank you so much to our band. Thank you everybody for coming. Enjoy the rest of your evening. There are refreshments upstairs. Thank you.
2 thumbs up, go like this. Well done. It's a long wait. Hope you enjoyed everything. We're going to take a picture, okay? Where, up there? Let's go up there.